And hello everyone, All About the Gyro here. Welcome to vlog 15. This particular vlog, I will forewarn you, is going to be a bit more lengthy in duration. So you're going to see timestamps down below. Make sure you use those, click on those timestamps. That way you can listen to the bits you want to listen to and the bits you don't. So, this particular vlog has a few main topics. We're going to do the Season 2 recap of what was a progressively improving season on iRacing. We're also going to discuss some trends, maybe in the form of predictions that I'm expecting to see possibly happen in Season 3 on iRacing. And then I'm going to save the bombshell for last about the CSL DD from Fanatec. So, go ahead, and if you need to, pause the video, get your favorite beverage. I have mine right here. And if you're wondering, where can I get this great coffee cup? Hit up Kurt at Holly74's Twitch channel. He's got a great merch shop. And you can get one of these too. So cheers. Let's get started. So, if I was to use 3 words to describe the season, it would be informative, grinding, and reliable. We gained just over 140 iRating. We raced in 3 championships, completing them. We participated in 10 different road series and ended up on just outside of the top 10% for the USF 2000 on page 1 of the European Sprint Series and the big one, P3 for the IMSA Online Haggerty Series, thus getting a certificate. So I definitely got some reward for the increased practice in tuning and cerebral thinking that I put into this season. But let's break it down a little bit further. How was each of the championships like? So, first of all, the USF 2000 championship. That falls into the informative category. First proper series of open wheel that we had showcased on the channel. We did 8 races, and it was informative because the car had just enough downforce to where you could feel it in the front. It had just the right amount of power for the chassis, and the community is pretty good over there. Relatively friendly. It is a D-licensed series, however, so driving skill and standards can be very hit or miss, but candidly, it's not any worse than what you're seeing in VRS and IMSA. If anything, it's probably a little bit better. So, the takeaways I take from that is, 1, the 15-minute format, because it is a fixed series, definitely good as it relates to getting people's feet wet into open wheelers. I've definitely reconfirmed that over the Skippy is the right open wheeler in D license that people should start with, especially now that the Formula V, which at the time of this recording is Tuesday of week 13, gets released tomorrow at 1200 GMT. That would be Wednesday of week 13. Formula V is being hinted as the slower Skippy. So, as aforementioned in previous videos on the channel, will the Skippy attendance drop or increase because of Formula V? We can only wait and see. But anyone that is wondering, should you do the USF 2000? Absolutely. It is a very good introductory course in handling open wheelers with downforce, and I feel much better prepared for the jump that I'm going to take next season, which I'm going to get to toward the end of the video here. So informative. I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. It met the goals and aims that I had for the series. Grinding. The grinding part is definitely the European Sprint Series. We raced the Ferrari 488 GTE for most of the races until we got to Watkins Glen, and then for some reason the sets just didn't fit my driving style. They didn't fit how I wanted the car to feel in the front end, and we ended up switching to the 4 GTE to do Watkins Glen, Silverstone, Motegi, and it was a grind because very long races. And even though we had some halfway decent results, so many people from Europe, understandably, are in that particular series. And here in North America, we don't get as many splits during the week because of the schedule as our European friends do. So there's a little bit of a disadvantage as it relates to that, which means you got to perform better than what was my Division 8. I'm expecting to move up a division to 7 because of my overall performance. So it was a grind, but we also finished our required number of races. And the thing that I take away from it is the GTEs, you know, at the beginning of next year, which will be basically December in iRacing time, the only place in town that you're going to be able to race GTEs are going to be in ESS and ES, so that's the 6-hour variant. So there's still life in the old girl, so to speak. But a lot of what has influenced my choices for next season is with the experience I had with the IMSA Online Haggerty series. Reliable, the word I would associate. It was reliably frustrating. It was reliably challenging. It was reliably and woefully inconsistent in terms of driving standards, in terms of participation, in terms of field sizes. Let's just face reality. Participation dropped like a rock. IMSA ended up at 97 per because Belle Isle was week 12 and they averaged a 29. So you had a 4-week stretch where it was Road Atlanta, Hockenheim, Montreal, and I forgot what the fourth one was in that. But there was a spell of 4 weeks in the schedule. It started at Road Atlanta and ended in Montreal. That was an absolute safety rating killer. It was rough. And then you add Long Beach, which was in support of a live event that I believe ended up getting postponed. And then at the very end of the schedule, Belle Isle, also in support of a live event. this was not a very user-friendly schedule for a lot of people, and that's part of the drop-off, is the schedule was not, Mid-Ohio, the light bulb just went on, Mid-Ohio. So you had Road Atlanta, Hockenheim, Mid-Ohio, Montreal, back-to-back. Tough places. So you had that problem where 6 of your 12 tracks known to be SR killers. Then you had the split sizes. So, Watkins Glen, Road Atlanta, you're going to get reasonably enough GT3 cars. Same thing in Hockenheim because of VRS. Well, toward the end of the season, it was really hard to even get 2 splits worth of GT3s. Belle Isle had that issue. Mid-Ohio had that issue. Montreal had that issue. Imola even had that issue at times. And it's just indicative that the IMSA Series 4, people in GT3 is no longer lucrative. GT3 Challenge being the roaring success that it had, it took 16% off of VRS, and most of those people went to GT3 fixed. But I think a lot of the IMSA crowd went there too, looking at this going, for half of the time cost I'm not having to deal with GTE cars, that's a trade I'm willing to make. Now you dovetail it with VRS to where once you do your fixed, you could do your VRS, and now IMSA gets completely cut out of the loop. The schedule isn't much better. I think IMSA is going to continue to struggle for the next 2 seasons. When 22S1 hits in December, then because IMSA will be mostly GT3, because there will be no more GTEs, how many people will return? That's a key question. Hopefully LMDH will be in the sim at that time to where you now have 3 classes instead of 2. And it's going to be interesting to see the LMP2 fixed, how that impacts IMSA and ESS participation. I'll be very, very curious. ESS was right around 60-ish for the final split numbers. So it'd be very interesting to see what happens. Did get my P3, and the difference was 1 position because my competitor in P2 did not race the last 2 races of the season. And after Montreal, I was just fed up with a lot of things in the series, admittedly. Coincidentally, the person I was competing P2 with moved me out of the way in a GTE car that caused me to lose the 17 points for 1 place difference, and that was the decider. So every place matters. No, it was not intentional. I want to state that very forthrightly. It's the GTE car made a very bad decision, and it just happened to be where I was the car right in front of it. So this is why IMSA for the Big Boy Series has been dropped for the foreseeable future. I love multi-class racing. It's very engaging. It's very cerebral. But the driving standards are not very good right now in IMSA. So those are the season recap, so to speak. Now let's disclose the cars that I am going to be racing in or interested at for the new season. So in a previous video, I announced the 5 series we're going to be racing at. 2 of those are Formula cars, Formula V and Formula Renault. So we're not going to discuss those vehicles. Those are self-explanatory. What we're going to discuss now are the other 3 series we're looking at. IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge GT4s and TCRs. GT3 Fixed, we're going to do a full campaign of that. And we're finally going to do VRS. So that's basically GT3 Open. So, let's talk first of all GT4. In my video that I released on Monday of this week as this is being recorded, the GT4s have had one major change. So you have the BMW M4 GT4, the McLaren 570 GT4, and our beloved Cayman 718. The BMW and the McLaren got front collision dynamics sorted out. So did the Cayman. The Cayman gained 15 kilograms of weight. So, because of that, it's going to be very interesting to see how the Cayman is on tires. Because 15 kilos is 33 pounds of weight. If it's 33 pounds in the front versus 33 pounds in the back, can make a world of difference because it's a real rear engine car. But now, thinking about it a little bit more, is the McLaren the OP car, the GT4, and should I race that instead of our beloved Cayman? There's going to be some testing required post-build tomorrow to see, okay, looking at the schedule, and I think the first race is at Suzuka. Suzuka will tell all because there's nowhere to hide at Suzuka. Because it's just that comprehensive of a circuit. It will test everything, and so we're going to be doing some testing ourselves when it comes to that, of which car is better. We will not be doing the BMW, I assure you of that. It's still not good enough on the brakes. Even though they've made some progress, we're still going to test it, give it its due, because hot track temps. So hot track temps may steer us back to the BMW. From what we have learned this season, hot track temps make front engine cars work a little bit better versus our mid and rear engine cars, as we learned with the BMW M4 GT3 and the Lambo and IMSA. So, it's either the McLaren or the Porsche GT4 in that. Now, that leaves VRS and that leaves GT3 fixed. VRS is a very good schedule this year. So there's many different paths that one can take. The key part is this. I own currently 6 of the 7 GT3 cars. I do not own the Ford GT3. I will be purchasing the Porsche GT3. The big question is going to be, people are going to buy that car by the hundreds. How will the BOP work? And will people be able to come to grips with that car? I think it's going to catch some people out. It's a rear engine car. How is it going to be on hot tracks when the front tires are starting to wear out? So basically, 25 to 30 minutes in a VRS race, how are the car mechanics going to change? Because remember, the fuel tank's up front, so it's losing mass off the front as it burns the fuel off. I expect the Porsche to be very quick. So we're going to buy the Porsche, but that doesn't mean we're going to use the Porsche. This is our first go of it in VRS. There is a very strong argument for using the Porsche because we're trying to keep up with the Joneses, and sticking with the Lamborghini because we know exactly what we get in that car. We have discovered that we like high rake cars. We have discovered we like downforce. So looking at the VRS schedule, there's definitely some considerations on car selection. So for VRS, I'm keeping that open. I may choose to drive what the quote-unquote fastest car is. I may choose to drive the Lambo because I know what that car does. I might try the Porsche just because I love Porsches. I don't really know yet. For GT3 Fixed, however, that is a little bit more narrow. The Lambo's medium downforce sprint setup is very, very good for my driving style. It's a 20-minute race. I have a little bit of extra cornering in that car versus most of the other cars. So I expect to retain the Lambo for this season for GT3 Fixed. However, we will be testing the Porsche's fixed setup and some of the others as well. But I expect this to score best with the Lambo, and that just because it's a 20-minute sprint race and I know what I'm getting into. I know what that car does. I have much more familiarity with it, and that therefore should be the fastest car. VRS, I want the best drivable car over the whole thing. Who knows what that's going to be? So stay tuned. I will tell you, the livery makers, they have a long lineup of people ready to get the Porsche GT3 car done. So they're going to be making that money, and they're going to be busy as all get out. So now we're going to do what I call some trends, some predictions. Here are some things I expect for Season 3. As alluded to, I expect the Porsche GT3 to be quick. It's going to be quick. Is it going to be OP? Is it going to usurp another car? This year's BOP for GT3 I thought was pretty good. It was much more fair. Multiple cars had chances depending on the track, and that's all you want from a BOP is, am I competitive? iRacing did a pretty good job of that. How will this car be aligned to that for VRS and GT3 fix. Because you see, in IMSA, it's actually less of an issue. The BMW M4 GT3 has got a lot of changes to it. You now have the Huracan Evo and the Porsche GT3, so you have three of the more modern interpretations of GT3 and IMSA. So does this mean that the McLaren, is that going to get replaced with the either 640 or 670? That would be nice, because that is a pretty old car right now. The Audi R8, how is that going to line up with these cars? And the 488 GT3 is a little long in the tooth as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see who goes where in terms of preferred GT3 cars. So for sure, the Porsche is going to be pacey. Secondly, the Formula V is going to be a hit. And by implication, you may see a resurgence in slower series participation. Whether or not skips lose out because of Formula V or gain because of Formula V is almost immaterial vis-a-vis series like Formula Renault 2.0, Senlab Production Car Challenge, which had a great season. Congratulations to that series. And in essence, your B and C license series getting that extra attention that for a while hasn't been there. Now, speaking of the slower series, the third series is F3 fixed. F3 outdueled Skippies. It is netting over 80 per split. And that's in the open, which runs every other hour. Now they have a fixed series. So the key questions, are the series going to be well participated in? Absolutely. F3 is clamoring for this. They're going to get it. They're going to get their every hour F3. Will it improve driving standards in F3? That's a big question. I'm on both sides of the fence on that. Are the setups going to be good? If they use the generic medium downforce sprint setup, that may be a problem. If they use the track-specific setup that I believe that they have for F3, now you may see some increased attendance because there are plenty of people out there that they don't buy open setups. They use the one iRacing has and work on it. And if the racing is terrible, will Indy Pro 2000 gain another bit of increase? And between you and me and Fence Post, I think they are. So I'm going to say it publicly. I expect another 40+% increase in Indy Pro 2000 because of Formula 3 fixed, and especially in the beginning of the season, I expect it to be a bloodbath in that series until people start figuring out, if they use the medium downforce sprint setup, of course, how to drive that car. So that's the third thing. Fourth prediction. LMP2 fixed will impact both IMSA and ESS because people now have choice. Let me clear off this notification off my phone. That's right, you just saw the big old thumb. You see, I have big fat fingers, so sorry about that. You're going to see declines in both of those series, especially ESS, because LMP2 fixed and ESS now compete against each other. Love the concept. No word yet on if they're going to use the IMSA schedule or the ESS schedule. I'll be very curious to see how week 13, because there is the prototype challenge. It's going on right now. How good that setup is. So we may have to give it a gander. I think it's at Hockenheim right now, and I think it goes to different circuits every week. So that's the fourth thing I expect to happen. The fifth thing I expect to happen is I unfortunately expect to see in certain series driving standards continue to decrease. And these are specific to your overpopulated series. I've had to file more protests this season than in the last two combined, and it wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. I expect a degradation of standards even more, and I also expect iRacing to start cracking down harder. Not just on the voice and chat, but now the actual racing itself. Especially if you are a streamer. What happened with Mitchell McLeod 40, what has happened with Daniel Gray, and a few others I've heard in the grapevine. If you are streaming, you're going to be held to a higher standard, which, as we should, we're showcasing the game. So, those are my predictions of what I expect to see. Let me know down below what else you think. Last topic of this big old video. The CSL DD. So I'm in wave 2. I got the email this morning. Did a price analysis of wheel, 8 Newton meter supply, base. Came out to about $750. Same cost, almost penny per penny, as the Thrustmaster TSPC with wheel that I just got refunded this morning for. That was $742 and change. So basically, same price. And then I looked at the delivery date. So I wanted to order the McLaren GT3 wheel. That wheel will not be available to me until early July. It's 30th of June, and then you got to get it mailed. The base, however, October 7th. So it's not going to be available all of Season 3. So that's the first very big problem is, wow, there's a lot of availability issues. But then there's a second thing I started thinking about, and that is, this is the first generation of this. Do I really want to be a willing beta tester? So they sell an extra warranty for $50 US. It gives you a 2-year warranty on this unit. I would almost feel compelled to have to buy that just because this is the first generation of these DDs. The user base hasn't teased them out, and the user base are going to find something in it to where they're going to have to fix. And so it's similar to a car. You never buy the first year of a new model of car. You wait till the second year for the teething to happen. So, for that reason, I'm not going to recommend buying the CSL DD. Because first of all, it's the first year. Second of all, you're not getting it until mid-October if you're lucky. Third of all, some of the wheels that you want aren't available for the next couple months. And the last part is this unit really that much better than the TSPC Racer? Now, we know the TSPC Racer, we had it 2.5 days and it broke. Power supply died on it. It just dead. That doesn't mean if I order it again, I'm going to have the same issue. because for that short period of time, having 6 Newton meters of torque was very, very nice. And I expect Thrustmaster to start lowering their prices a little bit because this is now considered mature technology. So I'm going to keep with my Logitech for now, but I may attempt once again to get a Thrustmaster, knowing it will mount on my rig without an issue. When it worked very well. I had an enjoyable driving experience with it. The power supply just died, and that's what's caused the hesitation of, okay, do I really want to jump on Fanatec? And more that I thought about, I said, nope, can't recommend it this time. There's too many unknown variables. Take the sure profit. That's some good life advice right there. Take the sure profit. So anyway, that's it for this video. We are 36 minutes into it. I am done talking. I don't know about you, but this is long, even for me. This week, week 13, we're going to do a bunch of fun things over on Twitch. So I look forward to seeing you over there. Make sure you take care of yourself, take care of one another, and God bless. Cheers.